about which Donald Trump is wrong.
Donald Trump is skipping a scheduled trip to London next month, and he says it's because of a bad deal orchestrated by the Obama administration to sell and relocate the U.S. Embassy. But it looks like the real reason he called off the trip is because Londoners didn't want him there in the first place. Amid growing threats of mass protests ahead of Trump's visit, the mayor of London said in a statement Friday that by canceling, Trump clearly got the message. His divisive rhetoric and agenda are not welcome in London and will be met with mass peaceful protests. And joining me now to discuss is producer and columnist Martin Lewis. All right, Martin, my friend, Donald Trump tweeted, the reason I canceled my trip to London is that I'm not a big fan of the Obama administration having sold perhaps the best located and finest embassy in London for peanuts only to build a new one in an off location for $1.2 billion. Bad deal. Wanted me to cut ribbon? No. Is that why Trump canceled?
Well, listen, first of all, I normally defer to President Trump on anything matters to do with real estate. After all, he had real estate companies that went bankrupt 4 times, and in the 1970s, the US government charged his landlord companies with racial prejudice. Sure. But on this, he happens to be completely incorrect. The reason the US Embassy in London is moved was instigated by George W. Bush after 9/11. And moreover, it wasn't a bad deal. The Obama administration oversaw it. They got a new embassy built for $1.2 billion. It didn't cost us, the US taxpayers, 1 cent, because the Obama administration was so good, they actually sold off the old embassy and other properties and did it for nothing. So a hint of President Trump, that's the way to get the Mexican wall built. Just sell off all the Trump properties.
Martin, I mean, you know, we played at the top of this segment, Sadiq Khan, who's the mayor of London, who essentially said, look, don't come. I mean, we're you know, the Londoners are glad that Donald Trump isn't coming. Can you just unpack a little bit the sort of background of the feud between these two men?
Well, whenever Britain has had, like other countries in Europe and around the world, an occasional terrorist attack, Donald Trump misquoted and took out of context a remark by Sadiq Khan, who's a brilliant, fabulous mayor, and just started these insults. And, you know, Sadiq Khan stands up to bullies and won't have anything of it. But, however, this is actually quite good news for the president, because the British equivalent of the Attorney General has the power to ban anybody who is considered an undesirable person. And they have so far 1.9 million British people have signed a petition saying he's undesirable. Moreover, they just did a poll and found that all the Brits were polled, is Donald Trump undesirable? And he got a record-breaking 128% said he is undesirable.
It's amazing because we haven't seen this much antipathy to an American president since George W. Bush, you know, during the time of the Iraq War. You know, Donald Trump was supposed to have also a state visit, an official visit to, you know, speak before Parliament, to visit the Queen. Do you now anticipate that happening?
I don't think it's going to happen, because the demonstrations would be larger than the crowd that he had for the inauguration. And moreover, if he said, under British law, if he said anything that was racially hateful or inciting, he could be arrested. He doesn't get diplomatic immunity. You have to be diplomatic to get diplomatic immunity. And he could find himself in prison for up to 14 years. And it's worse than that, because we have in Britain the equivalent, I guess you could call it, the Phil Spector protocol, that if you're a criminal in prison, you're not allowed to wear a wig, a hair plug or weave. So no longer would Donald Trump be just a bald-faced liar. He'd be a bald liar, period.
Why did you have to snatch his weave? That's not right.
Sorry.
You know, okay, I have to ask you. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about Donald Trump's shithole countries comment, because it's not unrelated to Britain, right?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I hate using the word shithole. Could we please change it to Trump hole? I think that would be better. But the president said that Africa was a nation. Africa is a continent. And, Mr. President, when you watch this, the thing is, when you hear an intern read to you your health report and say you are incontinent, that's the word continent. The thing is, the African continent has 54 nations, 18 of which are part of the British Commonwealth, whose head is Her Majesty the Queen. That royal wedding invitation, Donald, Not so sure you get it now.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who they really would like to see in Britain, and that make a state visit, and that is the delightful porn actress Stormy Daniels. She'd be very welcome, and that's also good news for Donald Trump. You know why?
Why?
Because I was thinking he doesn't like hearing us Americans criticise him.
Yeah.
If he pays every American $130,000 to keep our mouths shut, we'd all shut it, and it would only cost him $423 trillion, which he has because he's so wealthy.
He's so rich. Martin Lewis, you are a national treasure. You're an international treasure, actually. You're